My so-called friend had a chronic habit of seeking male validation by constantly degrading me in front of my boyfriend, all while masquerading as one of the guys. Eventually, I made her realize that she had targeted the absolute wrong person. She used to show up to our private dates completely unannounced, claiming that Nathan had sent her a message asking her to come because he required a reprieve from intense couple energy and preferred the company of someone more laid back. During movies, she would deliberately wedge herself directly between the two of us, resting her head against Nathan's shoulder while proudly declaring that she wasn't like typical women who became possessive over innocent physical contact between close pals. Whenever I selected a salad from the menu, she would purposefully order draft beer and chicken wings, loudly announcing to the room how much she appreciated her own ability to consume authentic food rather than pretending to enjoy rabbit rations just to win a man's approval, despite the fact that I genuinely liked my meal. On occasions when Nathan paid me a compliment regarding my attire, Zoe would instantly pipe up to mention that she could never manage garments that required so much upkeep, noting her preference for outfits that permitted basic mobility before executing a completely unnecessary flip in her shorts right there. She would routinely cut off our private chats to dare Nathan to video game face-offs, bragging afterwards that she was the sole female capable of defeating him, while making sure to mention that I lacked the basic knowledge required to handle a gaming controller. She persistently whispered in Nathan's ear about how incredibly fortunate he was to possess a female companion who refrained from getting overly emotional over every little thing and could actually tolerate teasing without bursting into tears, unlike his actual girlfriend whenever he spoke harshly. In reality, I had never shed a single tear in front of Nathan. But Zoe constructed a completely fabricated narrative that I was highly fragile while she was the ultimate untroubled woman who truly grasped the male psyche. At the celebration for Nathan's birthday, Zoe presented him with admission passes to a concert intended strictly for the two of them, remarking that romantic partners never truly understood excellent music anyway and stating she predicted I would merely grumble about the volume level. She broadcasted to the entire gathering that she had selected the ultimate offering for Nathan because she genuinely paid attention to the things he cared about, unlike certain individuals who merely purchased uninspired bottles of cologne. Furthermore, she passed the duration of the gathering perched directly on Nathan's lap, asserting that every single chair in the venue was occupied, even though multiple vacant seats were visible throughout the room. When the moment arrived for me to hand Nathan my actual present, Zoe snatched the package right out of my hands and tore it open herself, announcing to the guests that the watch I had saved up for was decent but incredibly unimaginative when contrasted with a real-life adventure alongside a thrilling companion. Following that, she dared all the men present to match her in downing hard liquor shots, mocking me for opting for wine like a stereotypical, uninspired girl who was incapable of managing authentic spirits. When I later pulled Zoe aside to confront her regarding her antagonistic actions, she claimed that I was exhibiting the exact sort of overdramatic girlfriend behavior that caused men to seek the company of uncomplicating women like herself. She asserted that Nathan thoroughly relished having a platonic female associate who refused to complicate matters with romance and possessiveness. She actually went so far as to state that she felt immense pity for Nathan being trapped with a partner so consumed by insecurity that I couldn't tolerate him maintaining a cool platonic relationship. She stated that gentlemen in Nathan's position required regular intervals away from suffocating partners, and she was merely offering a valuable service by acting as his sanctuary from relationship tension. That precise moment was when I resolved to show Zoe the kind of individual she was actually dealing with. I initiated my strategy by developing a relationship with her primary romantic interest, Alex, whom she had been desperately attempting to charm for months with her standard behavior. I began inviting Alex to our group get-togethers, adopting the persona of the quintessential relaxed woman around him, but executing it flawlessly in a way Zoe never could. I made sure to giggle at his mediocre jokes far louder than she did, consumed more liquor shots than her, and surpassed his top scores in video games that she lacked the competence to even play. I would casually remark on how incredibly pathetic and desperate it looked when certain females exerted immense effort to be viewed as one of the guys, focusing my gaze directly at Zoe as the words left my mouth. It wasn't long before Alex began shadowing me everywhere, inquiring why the rest of the female population couldn't be as incredibly easygoing as I was. Following that phase, I put together an exclusive girls' night out, extending invitations to every single person except Zoe, and subsequently uploaded images emphasizing how incredible it felt to be surrounded by women who actively uplifted one another instead of fighting for masculine validation. The moment Zoe viewed the uploads, she fired off a text message demanding to know why she had been excluded. To which I bluntly replied that the gathering was reserved exclusively for females who actually embraced being feminine, rather than individuals who viewed womanhood as a flaw. Consequently, our shared acquaintances began to identify Zoe's toxic patterns, openly criticizing her for continuously tearing down other women just to make herself appear unique. The ultimate moment of vindication arrived when I arranged a social gathering, explicitly labeling it as an event designed for couples and unattached individuals alike, where attendees were encouraged to either bring their significant others or arrive solo and prepared to socialize. Zoe arrived at the venue fully anticipating that she would be draping herself all over Nathan, but I had already briefed him thoroughly regarding her manipulative strategies. I observed the precise instant Zoe's expression faltered when Nathan wrapped his arm securely around my shoulders, announcing to the room that we had to depart shortly due to early commitments the following morning. Her lips contorted into a highly strained smirk, and she attempted to salvage the situation by proposing that the three of us should head out for a joint breakfast the next day. Nathan instantly informed her that our schedule was completely booked, without casting a single glance in my direction to check if it was acceptable. And I sensed a profound transition within my chest, because he was finally enforcing personal boundaries without requiring my prompting. Zoe's eyes shifted rapidly between the two of us as she let out an overly forced laugh, claiming she was merely trying to show hospitality. But absolutely no one in the room was buying her act anymore. Heather materialized right beside me near the kitchen counter, gently tapping my arm to guide me away from the larger assembly. She leaned in tightly to whisper that she had been observing Zoe degrading me for several months, but had continuously rationalized it by thinking she might be misinterpreting innocent interactions. Watching Zoe's overt behavior this evening had finally made the entire picture clear to her, and she inquired whether I was truly all right enduring this exhausting treatment on a regular basis. I confessed to her in total honesty that the situation had been slowly eroding my sanity, but that I was successfully managing it, prompting Heather to press my hand reassuringly while expressing regret that she hadn't intervened far earlier. We drifted back into the main party, and I immediately perceived that the rest of the guests were interacting with Zoe in a vastly different manner, maintaining a noticeable physical distance and refusing to chuckle at her attempts at humor. The following morning, Nathan and I treated ourselves to a midday meal at a specific diner located close to the university grounds that serves incredible hotcakes. He initiated the topic of Zoe before I even had the chance to introduce it, mentioning that Julian had sent him a message indicating she appeared immensely distraught when we exited the gathering. Nathan began shifting his breakfast around his dish with his fork, confessing that he had merely been trying to display kindness because Zoe lacked a solid network of close companions. But he was finally recognizing how radically her demeanor transformed toward me the moment he was present. I experienced an intense urge to unburden every single grievance I had repressed for months, yet I restrained myself because Nathan required the space to process this reality independently, rather than because I forced it upon him. Instead, I stretched my arm across the table's surface to grasp his hand, informing him that I deeply valued his perceptiveness and that we could explore the matter further whenever he felt prepared to do so. We occupied the remainder of our meal discussing entirely unrelated topics and giggling at ridiculous internet graphics on his display. And it felt genuinely marvelous to simply exist as a unit without Zoe's toxic presence looming over our lives. I made a firm resolution in that exact moment never to mention Zoe's name again unless Nathan initiated the topic, because I desired for him to perceive the dilemma objectively without feeling as though I was forcing him to select a side. 3 days flew by before my device lit up with an incoming text from Zoe, inquiring whether I harbored resentment toward her. She remarked that the atmosphere felt incredibly awkward between us and claimed she lacked any understanding as to why hostility existed. I stared intently at the glowing words for a 60-second duration before composing a reply stating that everything was perfectly fine and suggesting that the entire group should orchestrate a hangout. In the near future. My roommate Kavya peered directly over my shoulder at the screen, lifting her brows in disbelief as she asked if I truly intended to behave as though nothing had occurred. I informed her that a strategy was in motion, noting that occasionally the most effective method for securing a victory was to convince your adversary that you weren't even participating in the contest. Zoe rapidly fired back a trio of joyful icons, expressing immense relief that we were on good terms. And I set my device face down on the mattress, feeling a wave of mild nausea regarding the sheer level of duplicity we were both exhibiting. On Tuesday afternoon, I paused at the university espresso shop to purchase a beverage between my scheduled lectures and spotted Alex, resting entirely by himself at a secluded corner table with his portable computer active, and academic documents strewn everywhere. I strolled over to his position, inquiring about the assignment he was tackling, and his entire countenance illuminated as he plunged into an explanation regarding his engineering thesis focused on sustainable energy structures. The vast majority of individuals would have experienced immediate boredom listening to Alex dissect his academic labor, but I possessed a genuine fascination with the topic. So I pulled up an adjacent seat and posed intelligent inquiries regarding the highly technical aspects. 20 minutes dissolved rapidly while we conversed, and I made a calculated effort to laugh when he uttered humorous observations regarding his educator's highly eccentric evaluation methods. Alex appeared visibly astonished that I demonstrated an authentic investment in his words rather than merely feigning attention. And I could tell with absolute certainty that Zoe had never exhibited that brand of sincere curiosity. He explained the specific roadblocks he was encountering regarding his mathematical assessments, prompting me to propose that he consult with Professor Finley, who instructed my current analytical data course, and Alex immediately snatched his mobile device to record her designated consultation blocks. When the